So as I mentioned, thank you for joining. My name is Ellie, and I'm a customer success manager here at Bonusly. I'm joined by the fabulous Sunita, who is one of our engineering managers here. And we're excited for you to see some of our new offerings. Today's session is designed specifically for Bonusly admins and people leaders who have had access and are in the process of gaining access to these tools and are thinking beyond recognition alone and are asking bigger questions like, how do we actually measure culture? How do we support managers more effectively? And how do we connect everyday behaviors to performance, retention, and business outcomes? By the end of the session, it's our goal, and you hopefully will walk away with a clear understanding of how Bonusly transforms everyday moments. So recognition, advice, one-on-ones, amongst other tools available now and coming soon, into real-time actionable insights that you can put to work immediately using these newest feature releases. You'll also leave with a curated set of resources to help you and your team feel confident using these tools moving forward. So let's talk about why it matters. So, why are we offering these new tools? Your plan isn't changing. We're just really offering more to you. Culture often gets talked about as something intangible, something you can feel but can't measure. But the reality is, culture is really built through habits. So, small repeated behaviors that happen every day. Things like managers recognizing wins, teams running consistent one-on-ones, clear goals being discussed and revisited, and employees feeling heard through regular feedback as well. So, Bonusly turns culture data into cultural insights. When teams consistently recognize wins and hold regular one-on-ones, we see real measurable impact. So, higher engagement, stronger alignment to goals, better manager-employee relationships, and ultimately better performance. These behaviors aren't just nice to have, they're leading indicators of performance. The challenge is that most organizations rely on lagging indicators. So things like engagement surveys, performance reviews, attrition data, by the time issues actually show up, it's often too late to act. So Bonusly shifts the focus to leading indicators, the everyday behaviors that show how teams are doing right now. That's why Bonusly isn't just a recognition platform, it's a strategic tool for HR and managers, giving you real-time visibility into what's actually happening across teams without adding more work to your plate. So let's talk about the value of actioning in Bonusly. So what's the value of teams working within Bonusly to action this? First, it keeps everything in the flow of work. Managers and employees don't have to jump between tools, wait for a formal process. Recognition, feedback, and follow-ups happen right where work is already happening. Second, it really ties everything together. So recognition feeds insights. Insights inform one-on-ones. One-on-ones connect to goals and performance. Instead of disconnected data points, you get a complete continuous picture of how teams are really working and performing. And third, it builds on a positive perception. It doesn't feel like monitoring evaluation. It feels like support. Bonusly shows up as a tool that helps managers coach better, employees feel seen, and helps HR guide the organization in a constructive way. Lots of you all tell us that your employees use Bonusly like an in-house social media tool. It's really approachable and they're always in it and always talking about it. We make it easier for teams to work better together. And let's be honest, your employees love to use Bonusly. That combination, really being in the flow of work, connecting the dots and reinforcing positive behaviors is what makes actioning in Bonusly so powerful. Bonusly is a culture and team building tool. So let's talk about what's new. We've discussed the why. Let's talk about the what. Your instances probably look a lot different than you're used to. So let's talk about what we've added. Earlier this year, we released new reports designed to strengthen your recognition programs and really give you clear insight into what's really happening. First, our participation report. With the participation report, you can quickly see who's giving and receiving recognition by department, manager, or custom fields and across any time frame that matters to you. Next is our recognition quality report. This moves beyond recognition, beyond the my last points of the month go to you, or just using the required hashtag, and focuses on meaningful moments tied to your company values. Using our recognition score and gratitude gauge built directly into the giving experience, you can pinpoint high quality recognition and elevate it, bring visibility to it through newsletters, all hands, or internal highlights. And if participation or quality starts to lag or you want to take things to the next level, you can always tie recognitions to incentives as well. Incentives motivate end users to take action and reward impactful recognition that meets all 5 quality metrics. helping drive both engagement and consistency and quality recognition. So, when we think about timely, frequent insights, there are two features that really bring this to life. The first one is pulse checks. Pulse checks gives leaders real-time visibility into how teams are feeling, what's working, what they need, where they're thriving, through timely one-question check-in. More importantly, they serve as early signs of burnout or disengagement while there's still time to act. This helps managers run more effective one-on-ones, recognize wins that might otherwise be missed, and step in quickly to support employees. Just as importantly, it builds trust by showing that feedback is heard and acted on. Just like our icebreaker question, folks can take this in the personal, professional direction based on what they need in that moment. The second is advice. Advice creates a simple, structured way to request and deliver real-time feedback on a project, a process, or a specific skill or quality. An opportunity to get advice is more natural with how you're working. This tool makes feedback more frequent, more actionable, and psychologically safe. Managers gain visibility into strengths and growth areas, and employees walk away with clear direction, and teams build a culture of continuous development rather than only relying on stressful once-a-year reviews. So let's talk about connecting everyday work to outcomes. When you look at one-on-ones, goals, and performance recaps together, they're all designed to support continuous performance, not just isolated moments. It starts with one-on-ones, where they create a shared, consistent space for meaningful conversations with managers, mentors, or other partners. Because they're calendar connected and include meeting transcription, notes are easy to capture and accurate. And most importantly, those notes don't live in a silo. They roll directly into recaps, and employees can pulse check in this page so nothing important gets lost or forgotten when it matters most. Another new tool we're excited about, goals, build on that foundation. Teams can create, update, and manage goals anytime, not just during a check-in. Goals stay connected to company values and key initiatives set at the admin level, and progress is tracked in real time alongside related feedback and recognition. That means goals stay visible, dynamic, instead of becoming something you'd only revisit during those formal reviews. And finally, our AI-driven recap, and my personal favorite part of our new tooling, brings it all together. They consolidate recognition, goal progress, and feedback into one clear view, making performance conversations easier, more objective, and more grounded in real examples. By capturing performance and recognition over time, recaps reduce recency bias and help teams have more meaningful, data-backed conversations without replacing your existing review process. Together, these tools create a single source of truth for performance. So, connecting everyday work to clearer conversations, better alignment, and stronger outcomes throughout the year. Perfect. So, talking a little bit about front row seat to your culture and reporting, and as we think about equipping people leaders with data, these tools are designed to give the right level of visibility to the right audience without creating extra work. Here are three quick ways that we do that. So, participation reporting within the admin panel gives admins visibility into the frequency and cadence of one-on-ones across the organization. So even without being direct people managers, admins can quickly see where consistent conversations are happening or where additional support or enablement may be needed via specific themes that pop up. Team pages then put that visibility directly into the hands of the people managers. So managers get an at-a-glance view of their teams, making it easier to understand engagement, activity, and momentum without having to pull multiple reports or chase updates, and can even give recognition within that panel as well. And for a broader, more strategic view, growth analytics available to admins help surface patterns and trends across the organization. So this allows leaders to move beyond anecdotes and make informed decisions based on real behavior and real data. Together, these tools ensure that people leaders aren't guessing, so they're equipped with timely, actionable insights that help them support teams more effectively and intervene when it matters most. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and hand over the reins and the microphone to Sunita, who is actually going to jump into a live demo. So I'll also stop sharing my screen for right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Ellie. Let me share my screen. I'm actually going to share my whole desktop so I can show you a couple of windows, and that'll make more sense as we talk. So I told you about the why and the what, and I'm going to get a little bit more into the weeds on how this looks now. As you know, we've made some changes that are live for a lot of you, and so let's just get into it. So I'm going to start on our homepage. I am logged in as one of our demo users, Sarah. So Sarah is a manager of managers. She has a couple of direct reports. Let's go into teams, three direct reports, Alicia, Daniel, and Emily. And then Daniel is also a manager, so we can go into what that looks like. But first, I'm just going to focus on like Sarah's experience as an individual in this organization. So you have your activity feed that you're used to. She might want to focus in on her team so she can see what's going on. We also have these, let's look at company and we can say, look at these filters. So if she wants to see what are the celebrations going on her team, that's me. But yeah, there's a birthday, there's a work anniversary. Um, so so filters really this is one that's meant a lot to us internally too, just being able to filter out and quickly zone in on the bits that you want. Our announcements live here now at the top of the feed. And you can click through. You can that we're trying to make them not clutter up too much, right? Let's focus on what else is new. I want to talk about one-on-ones. This is a subject that's near and dear to my heart, an area of the product that I work on quite a bit. So as you all know, Bonusly is known for what we do with recognition, right? So some of the best parts of Bonusly are like where people can give to each other, building connections, building culture just through these like peer-to-peer moments. We have expanded one-on-ones, one to everybody. They are no longer gated behind our Achieve plan. And two, um, anybody as in real life in Bonusly, anybody can have a one-on-one with anyone else. And we believe we're doing this because we believe that the conversations between humans are where the connection happens. That's where recognition gets surfaced. More importantly, that's where constructive feedback gets surfaced. That's where people talk about their goals, both with each other and their managers and other mentors and proteges in the other direction. So we believe that by making one-on-ones available to everyone, we can further help strengthen connections within your org. So this is our new one-on-ones meeting page. Here you can see that Sarah has one-on-ones set up with Alicia, Daniel, and Riley. So Alicia and Daniel are direct reports. Riley is Sarah's manager. Um, and if she connected her calendar, we might be able to find other examples of where she's already meeting with people that aren't represented in Bonusly. I'll show you what that looks like really quick. So I've pulled up my instance. This is me at Bonusly. And what you can see here is these are all the people I have one-on-one set up with in Bonusly, Ellie, my manager, JT, and some of my direct reports. But you can also see that I meet with my peers. So Raf, I work with Raf. He's not in my reporting chain or vice versa. Alessandra is another peer. Ellie is a peer. So, and I found these people by connecting my calendar. So when I connected my calendar, all it did is say, who's on your calendar? Who do you want to create one-on-ones with? Today, it's showing me a new suggestion. I have a one-on-one set up with Charles, a skip level tomorrow. And so Bonusly was like, hey, maybe you should set up a one-on-one in Bonusly with Charles. Why would I do that? Well, let me show you why I would do that. So I'm going to pop into one of these one-on-ones. So here's the tool. Um, this is an example of where Sarah and Daniel have gone in and added some notes. This is part of their preparation. They haven't met yet. When they meet, we're hoping that they'll either transcribe their discussion or upload it if you're using a different tool. A lot of us here use a transcription tool, so it's common for us to use this approach. What that does by uploading a transcription, we Bonusly the app can give you better suggestions for next time. We can give you summaries, and I'll show you an example of the summaries. Let's go to history. So I'm going to go through a past meeting. This is one that had a transcript attached. Here's your summary. There's some notes. And then based on this summary, Bonusly will suggest topics for next time. Um, and then I want to highlight my agent friend Busy here. We can use Busy to ask questions like, and Busy will look at a history. There you go. Look at a history of what's happened on platform and see if there's other topics that we haven't covered that we should. And so there you go. So Busy's looking at, let's see, there's some strong collaboration happening. There's this recognition from Emily that we should highlight. There you go. So, so that's an example of how having transcripts, having notes in your one-on-one helps us help you um, have better conversations. Let's see. I see a question about one-on-one template. So this is a frequently asked question. What we're trying to do. So right now the only concept we have of a template is when you set up a new one-on-one with somebody. So I'll set up one with Emily. So you come in here and there's a one-on-one template. It's just text. So this is just a first stab to give you, if you don't have an idea of what you want to talk about, we want to help you get started. This text is all completely changeable, and we will use your edits to help set up your next meeting. Um, we're interested in knowing, like, interested in your feedback and knowing if that is actually helpful or if a more structured approach to templating works. The reason we've gone this way is because we believe that the like conversations between two people are often free flowing and often take dips and turns, right? And so we want to try and work within the flow of that. Um, let's
Yeah, a few
see.
other questions in chat and in Q&A that I will feed to you, Sunita, if that's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
from, let's see, is the information slash meeting transcripts only visible to participants?
Sorry, could you say that again? Is the
Yeah, is the information slash meeting transcripts only visible to participants?
Yes, only the two participants here. So between this one is between Sarah and Emily. Only Sarah and Emily can see this data. Admins cannot see it. Um, admins, there's like a, if you need for compliance and legal purposes, we understand things happen. You can request transcripts in that case, but in general, this is all like your meetings are only between these two people. That is, I think we've fought very hard, not fought because there's resistance, but we've baked into the core of how we've built this.
Mhm.
Next question.
When you have a one-on-one in Bonusly, do you use Teams to meet? How do you see talk to one another?
That's a good question. So here at Bonusly, we use Google Meet for our internal video conferencing. So my typical setup is I will have kind of like today, Google Meet up like with the video and the chat in one on one side of my screen, and I will have my Bonusly page on the other side of my screen. This is a reason I like transcription. So I have we start transcribing in Bonusly, and we have our notes in front of us. So as we're talking, I don't have to take notes unless there's something I really want to actually notate myself. I can trust that the transcriptions are taking care of the details for me and we're just focused on the conversation. So I personally have like a two window setup going during my one-on-ones.
Perfect. Could we build a company-wide one-on-one template required for all?
Not right now that we have not exposed that in product, but we will capture that as a as an idea for our next round.
Perfect. Is it possible to make private notes for managers?
No, and this is something not yet. And I say yet because this is something I personally struggle with too, and we've sort of talked about it. So we're actively thinking how best to capture that. It's not available yet though.
Perfect. And then additionally, I am getting some questions about possible to turn off one feature. Now, we would love to hear a little bit about your use cases and your why. So feel free to reach out to your CSM, and we want to be here to support you however we can, whether that is strategizing, whether that is helping with enablement material and education of your folks too. So feel free to reach out to your individual CSM, and we can kind of discuss on a case by case basis.
All right. Before I move on from one-on-ones, one thing I did want to, oh, I'm in the wrong view. They don't have a history because we just created them. Okay, so I want to talk about this. If you haven't already seen it, this is like a light um, pulse check, like a way to check in with each other. And so this is any two people who have a one-on-one could check in with each other here. So I'm going to go ahead and check in as a 4.3. And then if Daniel checked in, I would see his show up here. Let's go to a past one so you can see what that looks like. So we can see how like just sort of it's a conversation starter. How are we doing? I usually check in for my one-on-ones right before the one-on-one, and it's just a way to like sort of set the tone for the conversation. This is all also surfaced to people like managers. So managers will be able to see their direct reports check-ins, and then managers of managers will be able to see like sort of broad themes. So I'll pop into there. Maybe next, actually. Let's do that. So here in the Team Hub, actually, we have a few pages here that I want to show you. There's a Team Hub. Here's where you can see pulse checks. Um, and this is just like a manager's quick dashboard of their direct reports, who they've recognized, who has goals. We'll go to goals next. And then you can obviously quick link into these. Um, and then if I want to see details on pulse checks, for example, let's go to pulse results. So this is Sarah's direct team. And as you can see, she can expand here and see the actual like numbers, but also this is obviously the comments are like the more important part here. So she can see what's going on with members of her team and recall. But remember, she's a manager of managers. So she wants to have a pulse on like how her team is doing, how her org is doing in order to protect people's privacy, like between like the way they check in with their manager might not be something that they're comfortable kind of putting on blast for the whole org. So we've done this so we can consolidate them into themes. And so Sarah still gets a view of how the team is doing. Obviously, there's a pretty good rating, there's pretty good participation, and she can see what people are talking about and then use that as a topic as she's talking to Daniel about his team.
I have a question in chat.
Mhm.
One of my favorite questions. Can the pulse check question also be asked on the home screen to get a company-wide gauge?
And the answer is yes. So I don't have it turned on for this account, but in the admin section under growth, there is a pulse check settings uh, option. You come here, you turn this on. It will be effective in the future. You can send an announcement about it, etc. And then I'll just save it. It's fine. So what will happen? I think that's saved. Okay, there we go. And then we'll go to the home page. Let's see, do we have a new announcement? The announcement will roll out later, probably. But what that enables is this check-in button on the homepage. And so now anyone can check in at any point. This will be visible to managers, summarized for admins, just like I showed you with Sarah's extended team view. Um, if you have a Slack or a Teams integration, this will also surface in Slack or Teams, and managers can do more with this actually. So managers can say, I want to ask my team periodically how they're doing. So just in case they want something a little bit more, maybe people aren't meeting in Bonusly regularly, or they have a different cadence. Maybe you're only meeting once a week, but I still want to know, or sorry, once a month, but I still want to know how people are doing and I want to get a pulse check every week. So you might do something like that. And so then periodically every week, in this case, weekly on Wednesday, the team will get a little pop up in Slack or Teams to remind them to check in. And that will all feed into this view that we saw here.
Perfect. Additionally, Tatum wanted to know how much information can admins see regarding pulse checks?
Just like, let's see, if there a report I can show you, pulse results. Give it a second to load. I've probably just changed things, so I made it all wonky. But you can see here, it's similar to the manager or manager's view. So there's the graph that sort of shows you statistical stats on numbers. There's these trends, and then you can see the themes. So it's just a at a glance view of what's going on with the org. And yes, they are a monthly roll up. So you can see here they are by month to give the data time to aggregate. They are not a live view.
Perfect.
Cool.
Oh, this is a good
Um,
question. Oh, one last question on let's see. Maybe I missed this piece, but for the manager of managers, are they able to break down data to see their direct reports versus indirect reports in addition
yes.
to everyone as a whole?
Yes. So, managers and managers, this is the view for Sarah's direct team. So, these are the people who work for Sarah. Daniel's the only manager on her team. So here's the toggle. So you switch from direct team to extended team, and here's the view of Sarah's org where she can see by sort of the other nodes of her team. Since Daniel's the only manager on her team, she's only seeing one row here. Cool. Let's talk about goals. Goals, so we know that a lot of our work is aligned in at the goal level. So we work together towards a goal. Um, Usually those goals are related to like at a company level, some company level initiative. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here's a view of Sarah's goals. You can see that Sarah has added members of her team. So Emily's on her team, but she's added members or of her org to her goals as collaborators. So this is how we see goals working together. You have a goal. This is her goal, publish 2 blogs, etc. She has these collaborators who are working on it. When they work on it, they might add some notes to this goal history. And then they tie to your one-on-ones. You can at any point pop into a goal, see how this is doing, ask yourself a question, discuss it in ask a question, and then decide, hey, we should talk about this. Let me discuss this in our next one-on-one. And in fact, if I go to Daniel's, this is an example of how that would show up. So this is a result of me saying, taking Daniel's goal and saying he said he wants to discuss this in his one-on-one with Sarah. Now I mentioned, let's see, let's go to a goal. Do we have any that are tied to it? Okay, so this goal here is tied to an initiative. So this individual goal or this group goal rolls up to a company-wide initiative for launch and operationalize a major brand campaign. I'll show you where those are set up. An admin is going to set up those goals here under growth and company initiatives. These are this company's 5 initiatives. We recommend that you don't have too many. Focus is useful. But now you can see by each initiative how the goals roll up and how we're doing as a company. And you can drill into any of these goals to get a view of what's going on. So this is an admin view. And so you can see who's the owner, like who's the primary on the goal, and then who are their collaborators for getting it done. You can get a glance of see what's at risk. Okay, let's look at that goal. There's no notes. So this might be something that we want to follow up with this owner or maybe their manager and talk about what's going on and if there's anything that we need to address. So that's goals. Let's see. I want to cover recaps next. I'm going to go back home. I'm doing all this together. So in recaps, oh, I need to switch views. Let me switch to, I'm going to show you what it looks like for Daniel.
Oh, we
So,
do have Sunita,
oh,
let me interrupt you for a second. We do have another question about goals. Can you set
mhm.
company goals, department goals, and individual goals, tie them all together?
So we explicitly only have one level of sort of hierarchy. Um, so you have goals and you have initiatives, and that is the only level of like hierarchy that we have. How we use this internally and how we envision people doing this is you might set up a department goal where your department is in its entirety collaborators on that goal. The reason we didn't set up hierarchy that way is because in reality, it probably isn't the whole department working on something. And so this keeps things tactical and focused on the work people are actually doing and actually talking about and actually progressing. Okay. So I'm going to look at recaps. Recaps are your view of everything that an individual does, recognition, one-on-one conversations, goals. It's a way to tie all of that together into a report-like format that is all summarized with all of that data as input. So here I have a recap for Daniel. Actually, let me go here. I'll show you. Daniel created it. and he chose to share it with his manager, who I'm logged in as, Sarah. So he created it for this short little time period. Just let's see what's happened since the beginning of the year. Um, and so this recap is generated on a template created by his company's admins. So it should match your company's language and the sort of the headlines you're looking for, the categories you're looking for, and then we will take all of that and take the data of Daniel's own activity and consolidate them, put them together. So, and we want to show our work. So here's some examples. Here's a pull quote from one of his one-on-ones, with a link to that one-on-one where they met about that. Let's see. There you go. So you can go right to it and see what the transcript said about that. For example, um, we can go to, well, there's an example from recognition. So this again will open up the recognition. There you go. So we can see, and if there's any comments or add-ons and things like that, fun things, you can look at that. I don't actually think we have any related to goals here yet, but maybe in development. I didn't check this before. But if you had goals that were like completed in this time frame, that would show up here too. So this, like I said, this recap, this template is based on a company-wide setting. I'll show you that. Let me go to here. Let's go to growth recaps. So this company has not set up a formal performance cycle, but recaps are available to generate at any time for any time period. If you do have like a review cycle, like annual, biannual, quarterly, you can set that up, and then um, and then your team will get notified to remind them to generate a recap for in time for this performance cycle. We also do a little like if you have an annual, we'll default your option so that it makes sense for the annual cycle. But this is a template. This is your base template. It is editable, completely editable, so you can make this whatever you want. You can also set up previews. So if you wanted to, if we made an edit to this, I'm not going to do it right now. If we made an edit to this, you would be able to see a live preview of what that looks like. So you can sort of work on your template and make sure it captures what you're trying to capture for your org. Um,
We have a
yeah.
question in
Yeah.
chat. If you
Okay.
send a recap to your manager, they can see the transcript from your one-on-one?
It's only from your one-on-one with your manager. So I actually ran into this recently. One of our engineers used to report to a peer manager until the end of last year. Now he reports to me since the beginning of this year. And so his recap is only concentrated on my interaction, like what is visible to me. So any conversations he's had with his previous manager, any conversations he's had with any of his peers, actually right now, none of that gets fed up into what I can see. We're working on ways to address that actually. So one idea we have is can we let him, the direct report, the subject of all of these interactions, generate his own recap and then choose to share it with me, his new manager. But right now we are defaulting to the privacy, and making sure that conversations stay between the two people that had them.
And then I answered in chat, can a goal be removed once created, one-on-one be removed as well? Wanted to do some tests with my manager and team, but would like them removed once we start using the features as well.
Yes, 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 yes. So you can. So goals, you can delete them at any time, no problem. On one-on-ones, the like we call it archiving, but that will so it'll sort of archive it, but it won't affect like your data. So it won't clutter up this view is what I'm trying to say.
Ooh, Christine has a good question. For the recap template, do sections require use of the hashtags that are from recognition to feed into the right section for the recap?
Oh, actually, I don't know the answer. Let's look. Let's look together. Well, so this is based on our core values. And that is why, because we've described this section this way. So here, how has your direct report demonstrated our core values? And now if you look, if we go to Daniel's recap, you can see that it pulls in this company's actual core values. So it doesn't require it, but you can. This is an example of where you might want to like preview a template and make sure it captures what you want, but it doesn't. So it doesn't require it, but you can structure it that way. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else do I have on my notes here? Goals, recaps, team tab. I think we covered that. The team report here that you can look at. Okay, so now let's look at the people leader view. Let's go into more detail on reports. I know that's a fun topic. Let's start with, oh, actually, before I do that, I want to show you something. We get questions about the leaderboard. The leaderboard has moved. So how you find the leaderboard now? You go for more, there's the leaderboard, and here we have this cute little pullout that shows you your leaderboard based on hashtags and all our other categories. And you can filter it any way you want by teams and departments, not anyway, and pick your time frame. So just wanted to make sure I covered that because that comes up pretty regularly. But now let's go into reports. Recognition scores. So I don't know how many people have seen this, but we have this view. As you know, recognition is most impactful when it's meaningful. And so we do a qualitative analysis on recognition and tell you about it. So here's an example of what that looks like. So company-wide recognition quality, doing pretty good, this org. The average over the past 3 months was 3.4. We can see what dimensions are like the strongest. Obviously, value alignment is really strong for this organization, and then maybe personalization is less strong. Honestly, these are all like decent scores, so there's like I don't see any, super red flags here. We have examples of top scoring recognition. And then you can look at a department by department view, and then these are all exportable. I did not review Spotlight and advice. I will come back to that. Let me make a note of that. Okay. So we have recognition scores, participation, new participation view. It's a big view. Again, at a glance view, you can group by department or by location, depending on what makes more sense for your organization. This is sort of the organization as a whole, broken down by department, obviously. Or you can look at like we know that the relationship between managers and their teams is special, and like recognition from a person's manager has a particular impact. And so this is also an at a glance view of like, okay, where are some hot spots we might want to look at? I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, maybe infrastructure and IT, maybe the manager over there needs a little, or the leader over there needs a little encouragement or education about the impact of like recognition that comes from your manager. So this view is intended to give you that like holistic view of your org. Um, we already talked about recap, so I'm going to skip that. And then collaboration map. We're very excited about sort of what we can do here. So this is a view of who's giving recognition to who, like how people, it's not just recognition. I mean, it is just recognition now, but we see opportunity to expand this to other interactions within Bonusly. But this shows you who's giving recognition to who and who's receiving. So this one, everyone on the left is more these are the groups that are more active and collaborative. These are the like sort of leaf nodes of your organization. And then a thing I'm pretty excited to, so you can also see by manager team. So you can zero in on, okay, Sarah Johnson's team is very active and collaborated, but here's Ethan Lee over here. Well, what's going on? They might need some help. Does Ethan Lee work in, oh, poor Kumar hasn't is struggling out here. So there it gives you some ideas of like how to dig into the data. And then community, this shows you clusters of activity, recognition activity in your org that isn't about org charts. So this is derived from your actual data based on who's giving to who, and you can sort of identify, and it gives you a view of like who might be connected that you wouldn't otherwise expect to be. So I'm going to just drill into this community, for example. You can see these names. It gives you a view of who's connected to who. I'll tell you that like some of the people I give and receive recognition with are my like work besties from across the org, not because we're trying to like top off points with each other, but because Ellie and I, we don't work for the same org. We don't have the same job title or anything like that, but we collaborate so much when it comes to customer activity. Um, that I think you will see that data reflected here in Bonusly as well. And so, as somebody responsible for culture, is that information that's useful to you? Are there ways you can highlight sort of culture creators and culture carriers in your organization? Sarah Johnson shows up again as a very engaged manager here, but not just with her team. So you can see how there's this little cluster of people that she's connected to. So I'm very excited about this collaboration map.
We
Um,
do have a question
yeah.
in chat.
Yeah.
Can you pull in more filtering options for our HRIS for the reporting? The group by dropdown?
Is that on the participation?
Yeah. I believe you should
Oh, I
be.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That is a good question. I don't know the answer to it. I'm gonna guess no, but we should this is another one we should take a note of
Yeah.
for future considerations.
Noted. And then additionally, we can get back to you, Anonymous, if you drop your name in chat as well, too. We're happy to loop back with what we find out.
Follow up. Mhm. Okay, let's look at spotlights and advice. I'm going to show you advice here first, and then I'm actually going to flip over to my team to show you spotlights because they're real humans with like real activity. And I think it tells a good story. So, advice. Advice is we previously named feedback. If you were in any of our Achieve groups or saw an Achieve demo, we've rebranded feedback to advice because we wanted to take away from the sort of heavy the cognitive and emotional burden around it, that feedback. Feedback feels maybe like a punishment. And we wanted to bring it down to the point where anybody can ask for advice from anybody else. And so that's what this is about. And you can see here an example of where like it could be just this simple as asking for advice from someone else. In this case, it's Sarah asking her manager for advice. But here it's Sarah asking like her team a question. So if you wanted to give advice, if you want to ask for advice, it's a pretty basic text box that can like help you that you can craft any way you want. But if you want to give advice to a direct report, as a manager, part of our job is to coach and provide constructive feedback to our teams. So I might come in here and say, okay, I've noticed some things that have been going on with Alicia. I need to like talk to her about it. And then maybe once we've talked about it, put it in writing, just so that there's like a re-emphasis or what's the word I'm looking for? It's a word to underline like what I'm trying to say. So we do give you a little help just using the SBI framework, right? Situation, what did they do, and ideal outcome. That'll get crafted into a little blurb that you can then send. Sometimes advice is about strengths, like you want to focus on you're really good at this. Here's something you can do to take it even further or to increase your impact across the org. So that's advice. Um, we have noticed that like just from the initial usage around our Achieve product, advice tends to come up more in conversations than in people filling out forms. So this is an area we're kind of exploring with that in mind. And then is the AI function for advice only right now? Yes. I don't think that'll stay true forever. One thing that probably will stay true for a while is this idea of giving advice unsolicited is probably a manager function. Um, Ellie doesn't need me like putting something in Bonusly that says, "Hey Ellie, I really think you should get better at this." But if I want to like leverage what I know about Ellie's strengths, I might ask her for advice. So, um, okay, all other questions answered. Let's look at Spotlight. So what I want to do is I'm going to pick someone on my team who I know I've generated a Spotlight for. Oh, let me find it. Let's go to pardon me while I find it. So I'm going to go to my team hub. Here's a spotlight. I'm not going to generate a new one, but I'll pull up one that I've done before. So let's go to Danny. And this is one I generated for our last, we just recently had growth conversations here at Bonusly. So this is an example. It's like a fun little like card like just cheeky summary of like what Danny's good at. So his cheeky little title is Remote Magic Summer Spooky DLC. The story behind that is if you were on our platform around October, I don't remember if we released this to customers. He definitely released it internally. He just on his own volition created a Halloween theme for Bonusly, like our Bonusly app, and turned it on for everyone. And so that brought a lot of delight to the team. People were surprised, they didn't know it was coming. And so that's what this is calling out. So there's a story here. Here we go. And so all of this comes from, so all these comments, this commentary comes from recognition that he received. So there's that example. Oh, this is me. Danny reports to me. So we'll skip that. Chief Vibe Architect, Minister of Delightful Chaos. This is true about him. He's like constantly like throwing little like delightful bombs at us to catch and find. More on that theme. He's also a very strong engineer, and so we have some suggested readings for him to grow on that front. And this is a pretty good book. I've read it. Um, and I'm laughing because actually a comment that Denny has said on many a company all hands. He makes a joke about how the revolution is coming periodically. So, and then with all of this, I might like share this spotlight by adding it to a recognition or sending it to him, and the recognition will package all of this up into something that shows up on the homepage. This is an example of something I am looking forward to using for my team's work anniversaries. So I'm saving this one in particular for Danny's next work anniversary. I might generate a new one for that period, but it's a great little like, hey, let's celebrate a work anniversary. Here's all the like fun things you did in the last year. So that's spotlights. Thank you for asking about that, actually.
Excellent. So if you're ready, Sunita, we can dive into some best practices and resources and then potentially leave some time for questions as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen once again. Perfect. So I know you all are excited to dive in. We'll talk about pulling it all together, start to come up with an adoption strategy as well with a few resources that will also be sent out after the call today. So you can really work to understand your team's current maturity, set meaningful goals. This is a good framework that becomes a powerful tool to take back and discuss with your team. So it's designed to help you quickly assess where culture is today and where you want it to be as well. And then this helps with guiding you towards adopting the right Bonusly features in the right order based on how your people programs actually operate right now, as well as your cycles, your calendars, etc. too. I've included another slide here with some guiding questions and a guiding flow as well. That'll be included within our deck. And then talking a little bit about what's next as well. So Sunita talked a little bit about collaboration and Spotlight too. Those are, I would say, our newest features there, and always be on the lookout for enhancements. And then in terms of resourcing, let's transition to some takeaways and enablement resources to support your implementation of the strategy and these tools. So, We do have office hours to make this transition easier for you. Bring yourself, your questions, snacks. We're a very food motivated and fueled team. We always like talking about food. We're happy to answer and support your planning. There's hosted several times a week by various members of our team on Google Meet. First come, first serve. Come, let's talk strategy, answer questions you may have as well too. So super casual, super open time to ask any questions or strategize with us live. Additionally, our next webinar that we're very, very excited about is going to be all about one of our favorite holidays, Employee Appreciation Day. So, join us on February 26th for a practical walkthrough of how smart recognition can save more and do more. We'll share how to write recognition that resonates, what's new in the rewards catalog to make gift giving memorable and easy, how to use recognition data, to get a front row view into how your culture takes shape. You'll leave with a day by day guide for the week leading up to Employee Appreciation Day that ensures employees feel truly celebrated while giving leaders clear insight into what's driving connection and performance across their teams. Lastly, we've included some video article and case studies to support your planning and execution. We also have a brand new article to send to your teams about our new homepage, too, that I'll include in this deck. It's actually brand new. I believe it came out earlier this week. So we can include that as well, which is a great enablement resource to share with your teams if they're a little bit more cautious about changes, which we see often. Perfect. I've also included this graph to understand where these features kind of fit into your culture maturity and where you can kind of plug them in as well going forward. And so that said, thank you all for joining us today. We can take questions right now if you have any after our session, want to offer feedback too. We're kind of fully in sponge mode, as I've been telling my customers recently too. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear your first impressions as well there too. We're really excited to roll out these tools, and we're here for you throughout this kind of change and adjustment. Perfect. I do see a question here. Let's see. Current reporting capabilities allow us to gather an employee's point balance in a specific date range. This allows us to pay out these balances during termination process. I believe this function is going away. Is there any ability to still gather this information? Let's see. So I believe that is will live on the total points report, if I'm not mistaken. That shows for a specific amount of time, like beginning, ending balances as well there too. Anything to add, Sunita, on that front? Oh, you're
Trying to
muted.
find my mute button. Um, that sounds right. The thing I'm not sure about is like the custom date range. So the total points report, yes, it's the custom date range bit I'm not quite sure about. Your legacy reports are still available though. Um, so let me share your screen. Oh, I can't share my screen. But your legacy reports are still available. It's in the admin section under legacy. You've probably seen the big yellow banner saying they will be retired in April 2026. The custom date range is a topic that's come up
Mhm.
with other customers. Please like tell your CSM this is a thing you care about,
Yeah.
so that we it helps us build a case for doing that. There is some. I'm going to get engineering for a sec. There is work that's involved in turning that from like a straight monthly or wider time frame than versus turning that into a custom date range, which is why it's not on by default.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is a good question. How do you find out who your CSM is? That's a great question. Feel free to ping support@bonus.ly and they can tell you. You should also be getting emails from us too. And sometimes those end up in junk. So I would start with support and then they can tell you who is your CSM. Christina's asking, is the leaderboard stacked bar chart that shows a comprehensive view of most recognized by number still available? Oh, by hashtag. Yes, it is.
Yes, the leaderboard is still
It
available
is.
and not
Sorry,
going
I said
away.
number.
Yes.
It is.
So, oh, I can't share my screen. I'll just show that real quick.
Okay.
Here. So if I go here, more leaderboard, there you go. So you have most recognized top givers and then by hashtag. There we go. Now I have to figure out how to stop sharing.
Any other questions? I see some people are hopping off. So if you're hopping off, thank you for joining. We really appreciate you spending your Thursday afternoon, morning, midday with us. The recording will be sent out after this call too. So we'll link this call. Well, we'll send out the recording. We'll also link this call and the resources within our website too. You are not seeing the stack bar chart leaderboard. Christine, please submit, if you can, a support ticket to support at bonus.ly, and I'll send you that link in the question box.
If I can,
Yes.
I think I know what she's talking about. So the old leaderboard had the sort of like this view, horizontal bar charts with the breakdown by hashtag in person. Um, so we don't have that anymore. It's until we retire all of them, they're still in your legacy area, but it is just the raw numbers by the way I showed you. So that is what we have right now, but I do encourage you to write in.
Perfect. Anything else? We made it. It's 12 noon, at least here in Mountain Time. Any other questions? Thank you all for joining us today. Any last questions? And remember that we're always here, we're always available. We definitely want to hear your feedback about these upgrades and changes, your use cases as well, and see where we can help out in terms of resourcing and also strategizing with you. So if there are no more questions, have a good rest of your Thursday. Enjoy your weekend. If you're in the US, enjoy your long weekend. And we'll see you next time for our webinar later this month. Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you, everyone.